Welcome to the Homemade Edition. Today we're going to talk about whiskey cocktails, but not just any whiskey cocktails, my top 3 whiskey cocktails. So what do I mean by top 3? I mean, if I'm at home and I'm in the mood for a cocktail, these 3 are the 3 I'm most likely to make if I'm looking to go down the whiskey trail. My favorites, old standbys and classics that I know are going to satisfy. And they also happen to be 3 of the most popular cocktails in the entire world. Well, maybe not the entire world. I can speak for at least the English-speaking segment. I can't speak for the whole world. So, what are we doing? Well, we're going to be doing an old-fashioned, a Manhattan, and a whiskey sour. But before we begin, a little housekeeping. Some people will be incensed that I'm not including bourbon in any of these drinks, but that's because bourbon is going to get its own episode, so calm down, don't at me, bro. Secondly, I'm using relatively inexpensive whiskey because it's what I can afford and what I'm happy to drink. So, without any further ado, let's make these drinks. So we start with the Old Fashioned. The Old Fashioned has many variations, but this one is definitely the OG and dates back to about the 1850s if I'm not mistaken. The original calls for rye whiskey, and today we're going to be using a Bullet 95 rye, which is pretty common and pretty affordable whiskey. Here's how we make it. Take a double rocks glass and add a sugar cube, then 2 to 4 dashes of Angostura bitters. You can add a small dash of soda water. I didn't have any on hand and it's not that big of a deal. But regardless, once you've done that, muddle it all together a fair bit until the sugar begins to dissolve. Then add 2 ounces of rye whiskey and a large solid rock of ice, preferably clear. Clear ice has no air pockets and is therefore more dense and melts more slowly. It's quite easy to make at home if you have a mind to. Mine just wasn't ready, so we're using a solid but not clear rock of ice. Stir with a bar spoon until you have largely dissolved the remaining sugar and the drink is chilled to your liking. Leave a little bit undissolved and it may bother any OCD tendencies you might have, but it will also make a more interesting drink as it will grow sweeter as you sip it, leaving you with a lovely pop of sugar at the end. I thought this was total BS until I tried it, and I gotta say, it works, and I'm a fan. The final ingredient is a nice orange twist, squeezed over the top of the drink, and then tucked lovingly down alongside our ice cube. And that is the OG Old Fashioned. Next up, we have the Manhattan. The Manhattan has gotta be one of the classiest and most timeless of drinks. It's one of those drinks that even one of your snootiest of friends is not gonna give you crap for ordering or making at home. And if someone does, they are not your friend. They are a jerk. The Manhattan is made in a mixing glass and follows the rule of 2-1-2, which is the area code for Manhattan, which is pretty cool. 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, 1 ounce of sweet red vermouth, and 2 ounces of rye whiskey. For this drink, I'm using George Dickel rye, not because Bullet wouldn't be appropriate, but because Barry and Brett drank all of it, and I thought I'd try something new. Add some cracked and whole ice to your mixing glass and stir until sufficiently chilled. Strain into a chilled coupe, Nick and Nor, or as in this case, a vintage cocktail glass. Garnish with a dark maraschino cherry and enjoy. A quick note on vermouth. Once opened, it needs to be refrigerated and it will go bad after about 6 weeks. Not that you can't drink it, but the flavor will change and not in a super pleasant way. Lots of Americans don't realize this and think that vermouths as a whole just taste like garbage. More than likely, you've just been drinking rancid vermouth. All that aside, that's the Manhattan. Just remember, 2-1-2. And you're set. Alright, the whiskey sour. Now I'm going to take a slight change in direction from the previous 2 recipes, and instead of doing a strictly classic cocktail, I'm going to do a modern take on a classic cocktail. So this is the Penicillin, which is a whiskey sour, but it's a very specific recipe. And choosing to do something a little bit different than a classic cocktail is what makes this my list and not just the top 3 whiskey cocktails. Okay, so this is going to be shaken. We start with 3/8 of an ounce of each honey syrup and ginger syrup. Now, I don't have a 3/8 of an ounce line in my jigger, so we're going to skip the complicated conversions and combine equal parts of those syrups into a 3rd bottle to create ginger honey syrup. So once you've gotten your super syrup together, add 3/4 of an ounce to your small tin, followed by 3/4 of an ounce of fresh squeezed lemon juice and 2 ounces of a blended Scotch whiskey. Add 1 large ice cube and 1 cracked cube to your large tin. Pour the contents of the small tin into the large, lock them together, and shake the crap out of them. Then strain your drink over a large clear ice cube into a chilled double rocks glass, and then float about 1/4 ounce or so of Islay Scotch on top. You can do more. I would not do less than 1/4 ounce, but do it to taste. I'm using a budget blended Islay Scotch called Black Bottle. If you want to use your Lagavulin 16 or Lafroig 10, go ahead, knock yourself out. Garnish with a piece of candied ginger and enjoy. So there you have it, my top 3 whiskey cocktails. And it's pretty close to the worldwide most popular whiskey cocktails as well. So it's not like I'm reinventing the wheel here. If you guys liked the video, smack that button. If you want to check out my other channel, if you want to connect with me or become a patron, check out the links in the video description. Until next time, guys, this has been the Homemade Edition. I am Luke Walstead, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.